Kirby, back into a game week, just what have you thought through these first few days as far as what you've seen in practice?
A lot better today than Monday. I didn't think, Monday was great. It's like getting back out there, getting going. I thought took a little while to get our motors running. So you have a practice after Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then you go back out there for a Monday practice. They didn't have the tempo I wanted them to have. But today was much better. I thought they got after it today, and that's kind of the expectation. When you're playing a rivalry like this, you expect guys to come out there ready to play and practice, and they did.
Kirby, obviously this game being in Jacksonville, South Georgia native Nolan Smith, this game means a lot to him. Made some big plays there last year. Obviously, so much of him is from a national perspective viewed through does he get sacks or not, but he obviously does so much more for you guys. How has he excelled outside of obviously the pass rushing aspect and what he brings to this team?
Leadership, toughness. Nolan is a natural leader. He's been that way since I met him when he was in 8th grade and he came up here to camp. He's been a natural leader, comes from a great family, but his leadership is more important than his ability, and his ability is pretty strong, but he creates a toughness about it. He holds people to a standard of the way you strike blocks, the way you close on counters, the way you rush with effort, special teams. He plays on all special teams. He's just a core guy.
Coach, can you give a status on Dan Jackson? How serious is his injury?
Yeah, he's got a foot injury that he's probably going to have surgery on. He was bothering him in the Vanderbilt game, and I'm not sure when that surgery is going to take place. But I know Ron knows he wasn't able to go with us much last week, and hadn't been able to go much this week.
Coach, today marks the 25th anniversary of that shackled lap running onto the field after you got the interception against Kentucky. What can you recollect from that day?
A lot of passes. I don't remember much. I think somebody said they broke a record for passes in one game, maybe. But I don't even remember the dog running on the field, to be honest with you. I remember the passes and us winning a tight, hard-fought, tight ball game like all these SEC games seem to be.
Yeah, Kirby, how difficult is it to prepare for Anthony Richardson just with what Florida does for him in terms of, design quarterback runs? Y'all facing guys that are mobile, but maybe guys that haven't had as much design running plays called for him this year?
Yeah, it's not actually the design running plays that he kills people on. He's good at that, and he's physical. They get an extra hat on you whenever he runs the ball. They don't design run him a lot. I think they do it when they have to, when they need to win a game. They'll certainly do it. But I think they value him, and they know that you can't take that kind of pounding over and over again in our league. So they don't kill people with those. It's the scrambles. It's the draws, the converted runs where he takes off that he's really elite at. They've got some 60 and 70 yard runs that you might say that's a design run, but it's not. And it makes it really hard to defend because most coaches try to defend the pass by covering people, and the worst thing you can do sometimes is cover everybody and this guy take off because they put your defense all spread out around the field.
Kirby, talking about Dan's injury, who are the guys you guys are counting on to step up in his absence?
Well, Malachi and Chris are starting, so they're there. Dan was playing some in a dime role, which if you remember last year we couldn't play dime. We didn't play dime much at all with our depth at DB. But David Daniels, a guy that'll step up and play. JB and Tyke both work and rep all the time at safety. Ja'Cory Thomas has been repping all year at safety, so it'll be done by committee with all those guys.
Raise your hands.
A housekeeping question, Coach. Andrew Powell, how's he doing with his recovery from his ACL surgery?
Yeah, he's doing good. I get to visit with him once or twice a week in the Bones Dining Hall area, and he's a quiet kid. So you always worry about a guy when he's not with the team as much when he's injured. But he's rehabbing. He couldn't be with a better athletic training staff. I know Ron has got a great history with the ACL recoveries, and expecting him to come back stronger than ever.
Kirby, talking about injuries, I wanted to just ask you about a couple offensive linemen. I guess I saw Drew Bogo in a sling for one of the recent games. And what's Earnest Green situation?
Yeah, Drew had a labral repair that he came in with. He battled through it, and we wanted to see how long he could go this year with it before knowing that we were probably going to have to repair it. So he went maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the season, and he had a labral repair, and he'll be coming back in the spring. Earnest also had a surgery. I can't say the word. It's a little too complicated for me. So he had a back surgery that's it's been bothering him. You know, we've had problems with it, and it was one of those things we tried to treat. And we got to the point where the doctors advised us, look, at this point, we got to take care of it and get it fixed so that he can come back and be healthy. So expected him to come back, bowl practice or at the end in January and be able to lift and go full speed and get into spring. But it was at the point we couldn't do anything else but have surgery.
So you talk about how tough it is to stop the scramble from when a quarterback scrambles and stuff like that. Last year you guys were pretty successful in containing Richardson in the Florida game. What kind of work there, and what would you kind of take from that and to implement?
Nothing. It was not the same offense. It's not. It's different. There's a different offensive coordinator. Billy's offense is different than Dan Mullen's, so it's not. It's not as much drop back to it. It's a lot of play action shots, misdirections. They do a really good job at what he's good at. They cater their game plan and his skill set to giving him the option of running or passing. So last year that wasn't what they were doing as much with him.
Kirby, big picture question on the defense. Obviously a lot of wonder about how quickly they gel and everything this year. Where do you think they are after seven games, and what do they have to prove going into what looks like a pretty tough stretch coming up?
Well, I don't know they have to prove anything. It's not about proving it, it's about being at your best when your best is needed. I think we've played really good complementary defense, meaning complement the offense. When we've had turnovers in the red area, I feel like they've gone out and put out some fires. They've gone out and created some turnovers at opportunistic times. We have not, played our best. We've got a lot of players individually that might be playing their best, but we have not played our collective best as a defense. And that's what, as a coach, you're trying to achieve. We lost a lot of good players, and unfortunately, we've had some good players out this year too. When you count Smile in that, and you count some of the linebackers and Jalen, it's been tough. But I'm not one to sit up here and make excuses. We get paid to coach the players that are out there, and the guys that are out there have done a tremendous job of giving us great effort day in and day out, and they're buying into the standard of the University of Georgia defense, which is half the battle, was your buy-in.
You mentioned Smile and Jalen there. Were Jalen and AD able to go in practice the first couple of days, and how has Smile looked as well as he returns from an injury?
Yeah, Smiles looked really good. He's taken all his reps. I would venture to say he's in a good position. The other two have done things sparingly. They've done a little bit, but they don't feel great about them. Jalen's probably looked better than AD, but I don't know at this point if either one of them will be able to play.
Sticking with injuries, you had talked about Kendall yesterday. Just how has he looked so far this week?
I didn't see him much today. I was with the defense a lot, so I have to go in and watch tape. But I thought he was much better on Monday, and then today he was out there some, and we lightened his load. So I don't know how many reps he ended up getting.
Any other questions? Raise your hand.
Kirby, I know you like to have big home games for recruiting. Is it how early do you need to line those up? When you got Alabama, LSU's that same weekend, Georgia, Tennessee that weekend. Is your staff already? Is it a fight to get those guys on your campus?
No, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't even thought about it, I hadn't even talked about it. I don't, we deal with it the week of. Guys reach out and they want seats and they want to come and that kind of thing, but it's not something that I'm worried about. It's not like I'm checking the list. I'm worried about playing Florida, so that's the feature at hand. I'm not concerned with that. We have staff members that they deal with that, and we talk about it the week of.
On the topic of recruiting, and do you find it easier to get guys in here for a night game as opposed to a 3:30 kickoff? And is that something, without having a night game at home this year, is that something that y'all have pushed for or maybe disappointed in?
Nah, I don't ever concern myself with when the game is. I mean, if you had to say a perfect time for recruiting, it would probably be 3:30. It gives you time to visit with them afterwards, and you actually get to see them. You know, the night game is, number one, it's not great for your team. You're sitting around waiting all day, and then you get more time with the recruits on the front end, but less time on the back end. The 3:30 gives you time on front end and back end, but I'm not complaining or looking for anything.
With games like Florida, considering younger players, how much can you really tell them as far as what to expect versus they're gonna just have to go out there and actually learn what that environment's like?
No, we show them. We show them video of the stands being pretty empty in warm-ups, and then filling up as the game goes, and the two 50-50 sides, and momentum controls the crowd noise, and we go through all those things, and you want them to be able to expect it. It seems like broken record, but your younger half of your team is never gone, so you want them to know an expectation and be able to anticipate what it's like.
Talk about the defense meshing, and then obviously you go from Coach Lanning last year to Coach Muschamp and Coach Schumann. Just in terms of you guys meshing and being on the same page day to day, what have you seen from them in terms of just stepping up on leadership and just being on the same page with them during the games?
Yeah, it's just a real smooth transition. I mean, it's no different than it was last year. We got multiple guys that present every defensive meeting. We got, Trey Scott does a great job. Shadarian and Fran do a great job. I mean, everybody chips in a little bit because we think multiple voices develops coaches, and multiple voices are heard better by the audience.
Coach, what's one area of Florida's team this year that, I don't know, may not be getting enough credit by people outside this building?
Well, I mean, they're extremely physical, and to me, they're extremely disciplined. They don't, they don't beat themselves. They do a really good job at both line of scrimmages. You can see what Billy's building in terms of, number one, recruiting, and number two, the way the players play. I mean, they play to a standard. They play really physical and hard. And I'm not saying that old Florida teams didn't, but I don't know if people acknowledge that when you see 6.3 yards per carry and they lead the country in terms of rushing yards.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.